I think you saw when Moro Ojimo came out about those comments and talked about the Texas football program and maybe having more me players over we players, and I definitely think that happens when you have the brand that you have at Texas, but you're not winning. You get all of the benefits of being a Texas football player, even if you're not putting in the work and dominating on the field. Texas is going to be one of the most talked about teams, whether they win 5 games or 12 games. And, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. I see the same things with, the Dallas Cowboys sometimes it seems like the glitz and glamour is prioritized over the product on the field. And when you're losing, I think that happens. You know what I'm saying? You talked about it from the top to the bottom. Like, I think when you're losing, that just trickles down and affects everything. I think that there's a different energy around this program. I mentioned that earlier. And I think that people are starting to look at this program differently. Of course, coming from a Texas fan, like saying that to people that aren't Texas fans, it's like, okay, we've been hearing this for a decade, right? But like I said, because I've been around this program, I think that there's something different. I think there's a different energy. I think that there's a different talent level. You talked about, bringing in Quinn Ewers, the highest graded quarterback coming out of high school since Vince Young. I mean, that's, we could talk about, Hudson Card is talented. Casey Thompson is talented. Quinn Ewers is on another level of talent, right? And then now, it seems as though Texas is one of the top 3 schools for Arch Manning. That's a different level of talent. And so I think that some of the coordinators they've brought in have brought a different energy to this program. I think Sark has brought a different energy to this program. I think people around college football are noticing that. I think recruits are noticing that. I think people in the transfer portal are noticing that. And that's why I think Texas is headed in the right direction, because I think people see that Sark has brought a different energy to this program that just simply wasn't there with Tom Herman and Charlie Strong for most of his tenure as well.
Texas is the only program that when it's talked about culture, it's beyond the football program. It's talking about politics and the university and the boosters get involved everywhere. But it's more of this just hierarchy within the state of Texas that goes beyond the clubhouse, beyond the locker room, that I think, man, whoever takes over this program and attempts to fix it from a culture standpoint has to even go beyond just fixing the heads of 18 and 21-year-olds. He's got to lay down the law beyond the locker room.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's a good point. And, now when we're in this new era of college football with NIL, I think that's even more important, right? Because I think the boosters kind of have a little bit more power, than ever, really, now, when they, right or wrong, are probably talking to these high school recruits in some form or fashion, and these people in the transfer portal in some form or fashion. So I think you're definitely right. When you're at a program like Texas that has the history that it has the hype around it each year, it has so many people involved with it, has so many people, with their hands on the program. I think that makes it a little bit tougher for a coach at the University of Texas maybe than some other schools that don't have the allure or the history or the brand that the University of Texas has. But as I mentioned before, I like what Sark has done this offseason. I think Sark, I can't say quietly because it's the University of Texas, but I think Sark has had one of the best off seasons of any coach in college football. But, we've seen Texas dominate the spring before. It's what really remains to be seen is if they can dominate in the fall. But I think Sark is the right person at the head, at the head position. And so we'll see if it translates on the field this year. I think this is the year for Texas. Maybe this is one of the, maybe I'm answering a question that's going to come, but, I think this is the year for Texas. This is a year where the Big 12 is wide open. Our partners Bet Online had 4 teams at the over-under at 8.5 wins. And they had Oklahoma favored, but, they had Texas right behind them, and Oklahoma State and Baylor had some pretty favorable odds as well. So the Big 12 is wide open. You talked about Texas having probably inarguably a top 15 roster, and this is the year that they need to put that to fruition and go out and compete for a Big 12 championship.
I am no expert on over-unders. I produced my first over-unders video at the start of last season. I'm more of a week-to-week guy, but I did go 5-2, my first shot at it. And you're not going to want to watch my over-under on Texas, Jonathan. I'll just say that. So anyway, okay. This is my part. And nothing against Texas. I just kind of
it's your money, man. Hey, once you put your money down, it's not about my feelings. You know what I'm saying? It's about making sure that you cash out on your return. So if you don't think Texas is going to win, 9 games, I feel you.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you well know, hey, you get some right, you get some wrong. So it's no guarantee by any stretch.